Hi guys, it's Brandon with the Filmmakers Hangout podcast with my co-host.
What's up? Good morning. I'm Landon. It's the PMs now. It's still morning.
Kid. And we have a great guest today for this episode. We have Marc.
Hey guys.
Marc, introduce yourself.
Greetings. Hey, Marc Longbrake. I am the executive director of the Omaha Film Festival. I'm also a filmmaker and photographer. So that's kind of my day job. That's what we do. But yeah, running the Omaha Film Festival is kind of the main gig. That's probably why we're here, I assume.
That's what's up.
We are the Filmmaker Hangout podcast.
So we'll talk about filmmaking and we'll hang out.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
Yeah.
All right.
I think I think that's the plan.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
I'm into it. Yeah, let's go.
All right, nap time.
Yeah. Oh, man. That didn't last long.
We just got it.
We bored them already.
We're of a certain age. Naps are fine.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Right.
What gave it away?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got gray coming in now too.
Yeah, that's why I shave.
When
Shave
it's
it down.
when it's grown out, you can definitely tell
Yeah.
he's getting the wings in.
Which I'm literally one of the one and only people that would probably be happy when I go completely gray white.
Yeah.
Because I play Santa Claus.
Right. There you go.
So then I don't have to bleach,
Yep.
which I have for years and things like that. So I would love to have what you have.
This
going
was
on.
This started in my 20s. I was graying
Okay.
early, so and I try and tell people that as often as possible because they're like, well, maybe is he still in his 20s? He might be. He's probably not, but
he's maybe 30.
it could be. He could be in his 30s.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Early 30s.
Exactly.
He's a college student.
That's right. Always.
College super senior.
Yeah. Big time.
So you mentioned filmmaking, photography.
Yep.
Which one, if you had to pick one, would be your favorite?
Yeah, so I mean that's a really good question and a fair question and kind of and Marc has an answer for that because I started off, here we go. Here, let's give away the age. I started off in the filmmaking world like 25 years ago, so a long time ago, and absolutely loved it. When prior to that, I was always like a cubicle guy and working a 9 to 5 and all that stuff, and which was great and fine, but never really had much of a creative outlet per se. Until I discovered filmmaking, and like I said, absolutely fell in love with it. Always been a film fan, movie fan and whatever, and was always the guy to get the DVD and then watch all of the extras, multiple times, and that was my film school because it was before YouTube existed,
right.
And before a lot of the and then film school, like even like getting a camera to shoot on, it was either a film camera, which is very expensive,
right,
or super junky like little video cameras
VHS.
that looked horrible, So being in that space years and years ago, it was not as easy as making a film today, right. And it's crew and cast and rehearsals and auditions and making and then you get 100 people on a set and it's a big endeavor, right? And then probably 15 years ago, more than that, I'd a digital camera fell into my lap, like it's just a still camera, and it sat like it was like, oh yeah, I've got this new camera and it's awesome, but I don't know. And I thought about, like, I've always loved photography. I've always loved looking at still images as opposed to motion, which is what my world was. And but I was like, what do I like? I don't want to go out and shoot pictures of mountains or buildings or flowers or hummingbirds. None of that really appealed to me. Mm-hmm. And then I got a call from an actress that I'd worked with on several short films, and she's like, well, she's from out of town, and she's like, I've got kind of the summer off all of a sudden, and is there any film stuff going on in town? And I was like, well, I mean, not really, but I said I have this still camera that I've never, like, I don't know what to do with it, first of all. And as far as the technical, like the ones and zeros of operating a camera, I never really learned because I always had a cinematographer, and I always I knew what I wanted, and I knew, but I didn't really. And I recommend to any filmmakers or any young people, like, learn every aspect of the whole process. And I know a lot of kids these days are doing that because I kind of have to, but at that time, like, I didn't really know kind of all the camera settings and stuff like that. I knew how things should sit in a frame. Right. So I've always been like, when I started as a photographer, a lot of new photographers, like, they don't understand composition. So that's one of the things that they have to learn. Well, that was something that was just baked in just because I was a filmmaker before. So, but I had to learn like shutter speed and ISO and like all that stuff. And then what is a 50 millimeter lens versus 100, so that's all stuff that I had to learn. But she's like, well, yeah, we could, take pictures or whatever. So she came to town and we went out and I just shot, like, we just roamed around the city and like, let's just take pictures. And it was cool. Like, I was, and I looked around and I don't have 100 crew people, and we didn't take 6 months of pre-production to figure this out. And then got back home and loaded all the pictures up. And like loaded up Photoshop, and I'm like, well, let's watch let's figure out like a YouTube video on how to do some retouching stuff. So we did that, and then I think Facebook was it I think it was Facebook at the time. Like let's retouch 5 images and put them out there, and then immediate feedback. Like, so the day, like, let's go do it, and then a little post-production, and then end result within a 24-hour period. Right. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh, this is, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm a photographer instead of a filmmaker, just because of that, the instant gratification that comes with that, and the just the participation of 2 people as opposed to 100. And, so that all that was very awesome.
And I think there's something to be said that it can be very similar in basis, but I think the simplicity to it as well lends itself to being not necessarily affordable when you get into the equipment conversation,
right?
But you don't have as many working gears and individuals and things like that as you do on a film set. But then you also mentioned like the short time turnaround is the great thing as well. Yeah. It's so simple compared to, okay, we need dailies. Yep. We need to review the dailies. Crap, now we need reshoots. Now you just doubled your time of work. Yeah. But one thing that filmmaking does do and offers this is the 48-hour challenge.
Right.
Film challenge.
Yeah.
How is that going? Do you have anything new coming up that we're going to change anything, or are we going to keep it's not broken, don't fix it kind of thing?
Yeah, 2005 is when we talked about starting the Omaha Film Festival, and we hit the ground running. Like, we were international that first year, and it took off much faster than we anticipated, and it kind of blew past certainly our expectations, but also blew past, I think, a lot of the local not professional people would maybe submit and then not get in and then be frustrated and sad, and we wanted to create a situation where those folks or even like a student, we'd have kids in high school or whatever, as digital cameras became more and more affordable and more prevalent. We wanted to kind of give them a place where they could create, because that's what we're all about at the end of the day, is like, go out and make something, regardless of, take a photograph, write a poem, write a song, like, just make something. Like, you can sit in a cubicle your whole life, awesome. But if you're making things, I think that just enhances your work-life balance. So we thought a lot about what could we do to help kind of the local people, and maybe not necessarily the professionals, certainly the professionals, but then, people that aren't that as well. So 2012, we thought, well, let's do because we'd heard about 48-hour film challenges, and actually Jeremy, Jason, Mark, the 3 people that started the Omaha Film Festival, we actually kind of, the first project we ever worked together collectively on was a 48-hour film challenge. Nice. So we did that. I knew Jason Levering very well, and we worked together on stuff. And then he had a partner in a video production company, Jeremy Decker, who I'd heard about a lot but never actually met. So we met on a set of shooting our first film project together, and it was an awesome 48-hour film challenge. And we collaborated really well. It was a ton of fun. Worked with actresses, and worked on the location and put together what I thought was a pretty good little film, and then ended up going to the screening of it, which I don't even remember where that was, maybe at the Slowdown or somewhere. And it was awesome. There's a bunch of filmmakers there, and you met all these cool people, and we got second place, right?
Nice.
Out of nowhere, we got second place. And
First year.
if you look at who won that year, Nick Fackler. I'm like, well, it's knucklehead Nick Fackler's, and he, he had a scene on the set of like at WOWT, like with so I mean he had access to things that most of us didn't have access to at the time because he's a local wonderkind, right? So
Well, and I think that's the beauty part about the 48-hour challenges is the fact that it does take the more professional filmmakers and the people that are trying to learn and grow in it, and it doesn't necessarily make them work together right away, but it gets them all in the same room.
right.
And then those opportunities grow. So it's not just, it does benefit the professionals too, because now they have more people to choose from.
Yep.
Because not everybody's available. Sometimes they all move.
Yeah. Well, and and they're standing right next to each other. Right. The high school kid that shot his film on an iPad is standing during the Q&A is standing right next to the whatever. So I know that relationships are forged. In the post Q&A situation where, and I'm sure you've stood there and talked to the person next to you and like, hey, I kind of like, you're not a very good filmmaker, but there was something, I really liked your sound, right? I really liked that actor or your locations. There's something that you can find out of each.
Well, even I still consider myself an independent, playing around in the background kind of, I'm trying to get to the professional stage, but at this point, I don't consider myself 100% professional. I try to present professionally, but at the same time, when you're talking about to those other, filmmakers at those, and they mention something like I just had one in, I'm pretty sure it was Off with the Toast.
Yeah.
Or is that? There's a couple around here.
Yeah. We didn't do Toast.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So that would have been the other one.
Yeah.
My bad.
That's okay.
But
we encourage people to do other things as well.
That was the Flatwater one then. But basically, I used a cell phone to film that because it was just me that day.
Yeah.
Everybody else was working or had other stuff to do. And I was being the actor, the filmmaker, and all that stuff. And I didn't want to bring out all my gear. And I was trying to film in a kitchen. So my kitchen's small, so I'm already not going to want more gear in there.
Right.
And I had an idea for one shot that made this whole thing because the prop was toast. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I got it. Everybody's going to use a toaster.
Yep.
And I knew everybody was going to use a toaster. And most people did. So I was like, how do I film it? Oh, I'm going to film it from underneath the toaster.
There you go. Yep.
Well, I can't fit my camera under there anyhow. So I used my cell phone.
Yeah.
That was the one thing out of the whole film that everybody was like, dude, that was awesome. How did you do that? Even the professionals that have the great, equipment and all that, they're like, how'd you do that? And I was like, my phone. And they're like, that makes sense. So it just gets that back and forth. Like, and even now, like some people crap on phones for filmmaking and things like that.
4K.
Yeah.
Actually, this one's 8K.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 8K. Yeah.
That's insane.
The fact that you can do that, there's certain things, sensors and things like that. If you nerd out about that.
Yep.
But that's the great thing is about filmmaking and photography is if you know the rules, you know the equipment, you know what you can get away with bending or breaking it and all that kind of stuff.
Well, and if you light it well, if it's well lit, and if you have a separate audio source, you can make a great film or you can do some great stuff with it.
The one that I loved is I did one in school for my class homework and I needed just a couple extra inserts. And again, I was like, I ain't got time to pull out the full camera.
Right.
This is for homework. So I did it on my phone and I tried to match it as much as I could in camera on the phone to what I got. And then I was able to tweak it a little bit in post and things like that. You can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
So that's what I find crazy is the fact that it's that, as long as you know what you're doing.
Right.
And I don't know everything.
Right.
So that should tell a lot of people out there, there's ways to do it.
It's available.
Yep. It's available,
Yep.
But then there's so many new technologies out there with the LiDAR systems and auto, focus because of it and things. Like I nerd out over the Ronin, the DJI Ronin 4G.
For sure.
Oh, that camera. But it's a specialty thing. You don't always need something like that. Right. So being able to come back. So have you ever thought about combining your love for photography and filmmaking
Yeah, 24/7.
project?
That's what we do. You know, we got in talking about like the quality mix and that kind of thing in terms of phone stuff. So we shot a wedding out pretty remote in Wyoming a few years back, and it was like, all right, we'll do it for this price, and we figured it out and travel and all that stuff, and then kind of at the last minute they're like, could you do video also? And it was just me and Liz, So like I'm trying to think, well, can I? Because it's in the middle of nowhere in Wyoming, up in the mountains, and it would cost so much to bring in a video person for the day to do all the video stuff, and I'm like, well, we have our cameras, which we have nice Canon still cameras that shoot amazing video.
Right.
A lot of movies are made with those, but like during the wedding, and there was just no way that I can incorporate video also, and they're like, well, we'd really like it, so. We shot a bunch of stuff with our still cameras with the Canons. But then, we got the little DJI, like we call it the stick, that does the Steadicam stuff for cell phone. Mm-hmm. And I had I get the Samsung phones, and, they make a nice image. And so if you watch that finished wedding video, like you can't tell which is which. So like, and again, it's if you know what you're doing, if your angles are nice, if your composition's nice, and if it's lit well, it looks beautiful.
There's a lot of tools now for cell phone filmmaking as well that just make it that much cooler. Some are, for getting into that semi-professional world, like weddings,
right?
Because that's where it's that bridging of the gap of just somebody doing it for fun / doing it as a profession,
right.
Not necessarily filmmaking. But like, there's ways to make your phone a monitor for a professional camera to record on it. Yep. So now instead of getting the big monitor that records to it, you can record right to the phone, and that's your dailies.
Yep.
That kind of thing. So there's a lot of different things that can work for you and against you sometimes. But yeah, I was always thinking about I was always into event planning and things like that. I used to have parties and things like that, party entertainment. And I always thought that would be a easy bridge for me to go is the wedding route. And I was like, but I would want to do it to where I could set up a whole bunch of cameras on tripods and just have it all record into a board. And I sit back, not a hand on any camera, but almost do it like a live newscast to where I can channel it and have an edit already done for the reception to play at the reception. Yeah. So it's almost like a hot, edit.
Yep.
I just never have done it.
Yeah, it's fun.
But yeah.
It's a fun idea. And cameras are getting smaller and higher quality. And
because one of the fun ones that I was going to have an idea was the 360 camera when that came out. Right. It was a big thing. Right. It kind of died out for a long time. I was like, how cool would that be to just have that on the dance floor?
Right.
So then you can pick any angle you want to see who's being a fool or whatever. Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. Like, my thing is, like, don't take this idea.
Oh, boy.
I've already discussed it with one of my local buddies that's a filmmaker and a videographer for weddings.
I'm stealing it now.
Shout out,
right?
Mike.
Yeah. But live broadcasting of the wedding, that's a big deal.
Right.
Not a lot of people can offer that properly.
Zoom it out, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, during COVID, there was a lot of that.
Yeah.
But
just being able to do that, because I play Santa, so I do like some of those weird like live chat things, because not everybody can do a home visit and things like that.
Sure.
So just looking into that kind of stuff, and during COVID, like you mentioned, a lot of these gentlemen are much older. They're at risk. They were high risk, so they couldn't do home visits, and they're like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Wow.
So then I introduced them to OBS.
Right.
Which is a studio programming software. And it allowed them to do their own green screen backgrounds. Yep. And then because of that, a couple gentlemen that are Santas that they do know, like Photoshop and graphics and things like that, they started making live video graphics as backgrounds for Santas.
Right.
So it's not just a still image. It's not fabric in the background.
Yep.
It's literally you're in a set.
Yeah.
So it kind of changed in a way for the better.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing, like you were mentioning earlier, about only having like the old, like VHS cameras and stuff. Do you see that maybe because you might see this more than most because you're in that festival, thing.
We see way too
you
many
see
films.
a lot of movies from different generations and things like that, different technologies. Do you see a lack or a different form of creativity because of the ease of what technology offers us now?
Yeah, I'll answer maybe a slightly different question than what you ask, and if you want to pull me back into, but one of the things we talk about a lot is what you're trying to do. Hopefully, is tell good stories, right? So regardless of the equipment, regardless of your skill level, regardless of like if you're telling a good story, if it's something creative, something original, something with good characters that we haven't seen a million times. That's really what you're looking for, right? I mean, you like to achieve a level of quality in terms of like the equipment and the look, the performances. But at the end of the day, we're really looking for good stories. So I think that's what resonates with people. I think that's kind of what separates like the a million YouTube views versus 12. Is if someone's got a great personality and there's something built into kind of the story, and it's not always like a narrative story, like a 3-act narrative story. That's not always what story is. It's the person's compelling, and what is it about them that's compelling, and what is it about this character? And I think at the end of the day, it has to do with like the story that they're telling, which is like I'm at this thing and I'm doing a 1-bite pizza review, and and people are like, oh, that's interesting, and I mean it's a story. I mean it's a character and it's a thing, right? But at the end of the day, that's a story. So so not an identical answer to your question, but I think a pretty good answer.
It's in there. It basically answers it in the aspect of it doesn't matter how creative you are as long as the story makes sense for the audience.
And I will say you said it doesn't matter, and it does matter.
Correct.
For sure. I think and one of the frustrating things from, like I said, we see 1,000 new films every year, and a chunk of those, 20% of them are like first time filmmakers, and make your art, right? I always say make your art, do your thing, but doggone it, there's so much. We've got a $10,000 camera here, and then we've got a $20 camera here. There's access to a lot of different types of equipment, and YouTube is just like it's film school, man. You can learn so much about lighting and sound and cinematography and framing and post, a special effect. Like you spend the time, right? So I was just talking. I probably shouldn't say too many specifics. I was talking to an educator recently. About the school that they're at, which has film students, and just kind of expressing a level of frustration we've got film students that are wanting to learn, you would assume, film-related things, right? I know when I was in college, you go to the English class, and it's a prerequisite. I have to be here, and it's not something that I wanted to do, and I'm doing my assignments like at the last minute and things like that. But if you're a filmmaker and you're like being a musician, like going to your music lesson, and like when you're a kid and you have to take piano lessons because your parents are making you, but you're not into it. And so I understand that. But if you're a musician that wants to be a musician, like you're doing your 1-hour piano lesson, but when you leave there, like you're thinking about the piano and you're watching videos about piano, and you're in front of the piano all the time. Same thing with filmmaking. It's like if you're truly passionate about it, aren't you listening to podcasts and watching videos and getting your gear out and shooting something, going out and shooting a squirrel in the front? I mean, I don't know. So when that's not happening, I don't understand it. There's a lot of local filmmakers that are constantly generating content. My least favorite word is content, like create art, create good art. Yes, tell the story. And I said that was the most important thing, and it is. But you have an opportunity, especially now with, we already talked about some of the technology that exists and the training that exists that wasn't there, 15, 20 years ago. Like take advantage of that and hey, let's start making good stuff, right? Let's start making quality things.
And I think that's the perfect, transition into training off offers.
Right.
You know,
When you asked earlier what if photography or filming, perfect transitions. That's my real skill set.
there you go.
Sorry.
So off training program.
Yes.
Can you kind of explain a little bit more about that?
Well, yeah. So, this is, I don't know how public we are. When does this come out?
January.
So we have a new program that's starting this year. It's our offset program. So we try and get real cute with OFF, Omaha Film Festival. So we use off for a lot of different things. So offset, lowercase set. We've got a group of students that are we want to bring in and have them understand and learn about like just how to do stand-up interviews and how to do like talk to man on the street stuff and woman on the street, like person on the street interviews, and then like filming Q&As and like a lot of the basic things that you would have at a film festival, but kind of teaching these students sort of you can stand there with your phone and film someone and ask them questions about whatever. So there's the interview technique-y stuff, but boy, if you bring one light, the difference that would make. Right. And boy, if you had a lavalier mic or a microphone in front of somebody versus like, hey, every filmmaker, don't ever use the microphones that are on your cameras. Like, don't do it. We can tell. So yeah, good audio. So just teach them like some of the basic things of like how to get good quality things, and then that translates into, and we've got a bunch of cool videos. We've got filmmakers are being able to interact with an audience that's greater than the people standing right in front of them, like go up on YouTube or TikTok or whatever. So I'm excited about that group. We've got a couple of schools in town that we're partnered with that are like their teacher is working on, hey, we're doing all this stuff anyway for like the yearbook and for their journalism department or whatever. But come to our studio and we'll show you, and the teachers love that because they're like, I tell these kids the same exact thing every day for a year and a half, and then they go and then you tell them one time and they're like, oh, that makes sense, this is new, and he's like, well, even though I've told them a million times, having it come from, it's like telling your kid something, right? You tell your kid
doesn't
without,
listen to me.
Exactly.
He hear it on YouTube.
But then you find it somewhere else, and then all of a sudden it makes sense, right? Because it's a different voice.
Well, and I like that too as a new program and things, because as a filmmaker that goes to the festivals and things like that, the one thing I always saw film festivals is, not all of them, but most of them, they all basically promote to ourselves, to other filmmakers.
Right.
But if you're bringing in a program like this, you're educating the new generation to how to be a filmmaker. Yep. But then that's getting the bad word content out there that we can share as the festival, as the artist, outside of the festival world.
Right.
So then we're bringing in a new audience to that.
Correct.
Not just to our art, but also to the festival, which is awesome.
Yep.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I think right now would be a great time.
Oh boy.
To steer the car, pull it over, and pull out the kids' table from the trunk and get some random off-the-cuff questions.
Let's go.
From Landon.
Do I have seatbelts? I don't have seatbelts. Shoot.
That's all right.
All right.
We don't ride with seatbelts here anymore.
Right.
Who needs to be?
We're on the edge.
Exactly.
We grew up driving in the back window of a car. We'll be fine.
Yeah,
we'll be
exactly. All those kids in the back of a pickup truck. Perfectly safe.
Obvious.
Oh, good.
Come on now.
What do we got?
Little bruises never hurt
Hit me.
anybody. All right. This is the one question we ask everybody.
Okay.
What's your favorite dinosaur?
My favorite dinosaur. The obvious answer, because of my age, it's the T-Rex. Obviously, is the cool one, right? That was always the cool one.
Yeah.
But you don't want it. You don't want the rookie answer. You don't want the, the other kind of the big one, the not meat eater, was the Brontosaurus when I was a kid. But just like Pluto, there's no such thing as a Brontosaurus. We find out later, it's like, that's
like a Brachiosaurus or whatever.
Made up.
Just,
like how does that happen? How do we just all of a sudden decide no, that thing that existed your entire life, it doesn't exist anymore? And then obviously all the movies are telling us that the Velociraptors are the cool one, right? I don't know. Triceratops. That's pretty.
That's
cool,
my guy. That's my guy right there.
Is that your guy?
Yeah.
Look at us. Just Triceratopsing it out.
He even looks like Billy right now.
Now I'm hurt,
The blue,
okay?
the blue Power Ranger.
All right, it's the glasses. That's all it is, man.
He was a Triceratops in Power Rangers.
All right, that helps because I didn't get the reference.
It's okay. I saw
Just a
it.
blank look on my
saw
face.
it.
All right,
Big time nerd over here.
excellent,
This
good.
guy.
I get it.
All right, let's go with another one. This is one of the newer ones we
All
got
right.
today. If you could ride any animal into battle, which one would you choose and why?
You know, hippos because they're kind of cute looking.
But they're insane,
Dude,
strong.
They run what 473 miles an hour and on them little
fast.
legs and
Yeah.
and they're they it's like they weigh them as much as a school bus. That would be kind of cool. But I think the rhino has kind of been used a lot.
Right.
I got to pet a rhino.
Okay.
We went out
sick.
to there's a place called Barizona, like a good pun. It's in Arizona, not too far from the Grand Canyon, and they have a bunch of they have lions and they have things that are just out, which is cool. Kind of in it was before Lion King. We were like, oh, the guy's actually in there with a lion, and that freaked me out. But then we see Lion King, like, oh, people do that. But they had a rhino, and they're like, do you want to touch it? And I'm like, yeah, I want to touch it.
The true question is, does the rhino want to touch you back?
Well, I don't even know that its skin was way harder than this table. Like it was
they're-
hardcore. And it was, it was much bigger than a Volkswagen. I mean, the thing was huge and weighs, 10 times as much. And, but they're like, it's in a big cage and so you can reach in and, but they're like, do not, like if you reach your hand in the cage, don't get your hand like with the bar
where
and
you can lock it up.
Because if he leans on it, it's over. Right?
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you're staying
Make sure
in.
you're upright.
And you touch, and it's like, holy. Rhino. You see that on Marvel movies. They're armor plated, but that seems like I had a giraffe lick me once.
That's cool.
That was fun. He's the guy was like, here, hold this palm frond kind of like by your head or whatever, and then we had to have a videotape of it. So Liz is holding her camera and so you hold it, and the giraffe like bends down and licked, and so that was cool and disgusting.
I bet. Dude.
Yeah, but a giraffe would be cool, right? With them big long legs.
I think so.
But I don't know, I guess
I've ridden a horse, and just the gallop of that can be hard. Can you imagine the gallop of a giraffe?
But also getting,
You'd
but
be
also
like,
getting on top of the giraffe too.
it would take a minute,
Yeah,
right?
You need like a step ladder or something.
Or
It'd
three.
be like a
yeah.
step.
Even with
saddle.
that weird little squat that they do, that's like this. It's like
Still too much, right?
Yeah.
I don't have. I wish I want to have something creative like a shark. We could ride a shark into battle, right? A hammerhead. That would be kind of fun because they got the dorsal that you can.
Yeah, you can actually hold on to that, or if it's a hammerhead, you could put the
Then
reins.
you're
on
leaning
its-
forward.
Yeah.
Oh, the reins. Okay,
You put reins on its.
head and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, we're throwing all logic out the window. If you want to ride a shark into battle, why not? Right?
I mean, you could ride a squirrel into battle. That'd be cool.
honestly, that's kind of cool.
Squirrels
Just like
are-
surfing on
are pretty
squirrels.
Dope. Yeah, I think. Oh, you're thinking a bunch of squirrels,
Well, if you're like, or it's just one big squirrel,
bro.
one big squirrel or a wave of
get a
squirrels.
It's like if you're in battle and a dude rolls in on a something massive, you're like, all right, that's scary. But a dude comes riding in on like 50 squirrels.
I think I'm more scared of that.
You don't know how to deal with that guy.
Because then if he's riding in on like 50 squirrels, he can be like, go get them. And then they're going to be crawling over me and I'm going to be like, ew, gross. And then
Well,
I'm just
and
gonna
you
be
saw
freaked
the
out.
Johnny Depp,
he's to be feared.
Wonka movie,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
How they did the squirrels attacking her.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
remember it.
Yeah,
All right.
the nut.
He is a nerd.
Check.
He is a nerd, isn't he?
I am a
Yeah.
But
I think you're
just
right.
that was just a handful of squirrels
Okay.
Yeah.
getting on somebody.
Terrifying.
But yeah.
Imagine like
a
50.
whole army of squirrels.
Let's go, squirrel. Lock it in.
Squirrel,
Yeah.
lock it in.
All right.
Wave of squirrel or giant squirrel?
Giant squirrel. Didn't even talk about that.
Either one works. We're throwing logic.
I like
out
a
the
herd of squirrels. A murder of squirrels.
To me, the herd is creepier.
terrifying.
That's true.
You know, rather
Yeah.
than just one big one.
Yeah.
One big squirrel's cute though, still. So I guess the wave of squirrels is.
There is like a
better
funny
option.
joke that would be there though. If it was like a giant squirrel, it would come up to you like, he thinks I'm its nut.
Oh, boy.
So he takes care of me.
All right, that was pretty.
I thought we had a good conversation going on, and then
bad.
we all heard like the brakes just
Yeah.
screeching into. It's
had-
all good.
You've had better.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll chip and bail out of this one.
It's early.
Speaking of animals,
Yes.
if animals could talk, which one do you think would be the rudest?
The rudest. Well, I mean, again, I hate to go obvious answer on all of these. Obviously, it's a cat, right? So, so we need to think outside the box and think who would be rude. I mean, not to get into like zoo animals, and it's sad because they're, But if I was a lion in captivity, and I could, if I was out in the world, I could run 1 million miles an hour and just devour a zebra if I chose to.
Yeah.
And now I'm stuck in a 10 by 10 cage. I think I'd be pretty salty,
Right.
We were talking about this earlier. I told him an orca
Okay.
because those things are already malicious as it is.
I kinda don't care.
Imagine it just like running up to you, ripping your limbs apart, and then roasting you as it's doing it.
Right.
It's like, come on, man, that's just disrespectful.
Yeah.
And those things are insane.
But now,
fair.
like, you did you ever watch, Greatest American Home Videos?
Yeah, of course.
Bob Saget,
Yeah,
where he would like voice the animals.
Right, exactly.
I can only imagine doing a series of that with zoo animals now.
Yeah.
Just salty zoo animals.
Well, there's an animator. What's his name? One of my favorite animators that does claymation stuff out of Britain. And he's I remember him like when he made short films. But now he's made several like Chicken Run and some bigger like animated features. So look this up if that's something that truly interests you. He has one where he interviews farm animals and it might maybe zoo animals. It is zoo animals because they all have a little British accent and it's like he's
funny.
interviewing a lion and he's like, oh, what do you think? And he's like, well, I like meat, I like running around capturing meat, and I don't really get to do that here, so pretty fantastic.
So I answered the question earlier. I was like, birds. All birds.
Okay.
They would just be dicks.
Yeah.
Because they just sit around watching everything.
And pooping on a lot of things.
Yeah.
That too.
So, but then because there's so many different versions of birds out there, species and all that, you get a different version of dick.
Yeah.
So
well, cardinals, I think, just
right,
are unbelievably rude.
Blue jays, even.
Yeah.
But like to me, you would get like how you're talking about like Brit humor and American humor.
Yeah.
You would end up getting that in the bird version of it.
Different versions of birds being like
Could have a
not
British
cool.
crow at some point just be like, look at this tallywhacker. What do you think he's doing?
Exactly.
Trying to eat beans on toast.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Why don't you eat some seeds, mate?
And then you just have all the pigeons that are just like,
Yeah.
The pigeons
they
just
shut down.
Yeah.
Because the government's done.
Yeah. Because birds aren't real. Yeah. I get it.
Woohoo.
All right. All right.
Let's get back into the movie ones.
All right.
If you could communicate using movie quotes from only one movie, which one do you choose?
Oh, it wouldn't be a Quentin Tarantino movie. I don't use that language. I don't know. Would it be something? Would it be something cool and British? And then all of a sudden, like I sound cool and British. Like, why do like the dumbest British guy like just sounds intelligent, right? So
a Mr. Bean movie, so you don't have to talk.
Silent films.
Talk with actions, man.
Exactly.
There you go.
I don't know. I don't have I want to have creative and clever answers.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
He's pitting your gender.
Probably not that for me. I like the question.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have a great answer for it. I want to sound smart. I want to sound interesting. I want to sound creative. So a movie that does all those things. What is it like the Godfather?
Is there a movie that quotes other movies? And then you'd get
helps.
cherry pick out of that.
That was always the thing when we were young, like 25 years ago. We were young filmmakers. That was always the thing. It's like, oh, we should do a movie where we only use quotes from other movies.
Right.
And then I think everybody has that idea. And then we had a film like probably 10 years ago that did that. It's like, all right, it's cool, it's creative,
Awesome.
and then it's like a math. You're sitting there doing a math problem instead of watching the movie. You're like trying to figure out, whoa, that was from this. Oh, that was from that.
Yep.
So
You got another one?
I didn't answer that one well. Sorry.
That's all right. We'll do two more to make up for it.
I thought we did good with the squirrels. So
Oh yeah, we definitely did.
Full credit with that. Oh boy.
Gross.
Yeah.
COVID. You find a genie.
Okay.
What 4 things are you wishing for? And these are Aladdin rules. No wishing for more wishes.
More wishes.
No bringing back from the dead. No love.
Yeah. But 4, not 3.
Yeah.
And
Because
you
top
say
5
no-
is easy. Top
no
3
love.
is easy. Yeah.
Money, real estate, right? The obvious things.
Yeah.
I don't know. One thing I've always wanted, real talk, if we're just being real first, I've always wanted to be taller.
Let's get real.
Can I just be?
Yeah.
Can I just be a little taller?
I'm 5'8" right now, dude. I want to be like at least 5'11".
Oh, I like that you're still in the fives. You could have went 6.
Yeah.
If I'm 6, then my ego gets too big.
That's a good point.
He's humble.
Yeah.
He's humble.
I like to at least
Bro, if I was 6'2", I wouldn't even be talking to you right now. Exactly.
If I'm 6'2", I'm not in the studio.
Exactly. I'm
But
not,
yeah,
I'm not just walking around being cool and getting things off of high shelves for people.
I'm at least in the double digits with the 5s still.
Okay, no, that's I like that. Yeah. I like that. Yeah, I've never blamed my dad for my height. Well, yeah, I do, but you have a real opportunity right now to just be like,
Oh yeah, I hate you.
I'm not where I want to be, and it's because of you.
I am 5'11".
Yeah. See?
So you have something to look up to.
Oh, brutal.
Me.
That's brutal. Yeah, height.
God forbid I be a short king.
It'd be cool to have a metabolism such that you could eat kind of whatever you want, and it sort of didn't matter.
Almost like the Flash, where you can eat like whatever, and it just.
Well, but he has to.
That's true.
I'm just saying,
You
want
get to.
want to.
Yeah.
Still be lazy.
You don't have to eat
I'd
15,000
love to just
calories.
hang out and
Big Lebowski it all day.
just
not care.
just like a full pizza instead of like 3 slices, and then wash it down with some ice cream and a Mountain Dew. I mean, yeah,
Oh, you don't
metabolism.
You still don't eat a whole pizza?
Well,
That's not a thing.
yeah, but then it
Whoops.
is a thing, right?
Yeah.
Get the diabetes, get some exercise. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
not
you
interested.
get to the
I've been
exam.
practicing hopping around on one leg lately.
Have you?
Just in
Yeah.
case.
All right.
He's getting ahead of the curve.
All right. Well done. Well, I did when I walked into the studio, you were doing that, and I thought I almost just left. So I'm glad.
Don't worry. If we ever lose his leg, he's not going to get the cyborg limb or like the replacement.
Oh, how do you
We're
not?
just going to like go full pirate style and just shove a stick in it.
I like a stick.
Just a broomstick.
Yeah.
I like a stick.
But I'm also a special effects artist. So me without a limb, I'm going to be in a lot of movies getting that limb cut off.
Oh yeah.
Right.
100%.
Over and over.
Yeah.
There's a guy in town that
Exactly.
Tim.
Yeah.
So yeah, his movies where that happens is like brutal, but amazing.
Did you have another one?
Let's go with one more.
All right.
And I love this question
Okay.
because I just love it.
All right.
What's a hot take that you have about the filmmaking community here or filmmaking in general?
Oh, dude, we could do 7 hours of podcast on
real.
this.
Let's get real.
Hey guys, you guys are awesome.
We built it up to where you like him. So now he can say these things.
I love everything about what our local film community is doing.
This is this is that moment.
Right. No, I am a proponent of artists and art, and I say, do that, right? And I'm going to be 100% supportive of it at all time. I get not countless, I can count them. I get emails every year like, oh, you rejected my film, or whatever, and why, and
Do you ever tell him why?
I tell them that I will not email them back, but I will sit in a room with them. I don't want my words to be taken out of context,
Lost
and
in translation
cut,
because of-
and lost in I love tone. 100. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And then
That's why.
copied and pasted and put on Reddit, or I don't want that.
Yeah.
But I will 100% sit across from you. Come to the studio. Let's watch your film. Let's watch your 7 minutes of whatever. And let's talk about it. Because
learn.
Exactly. And the last thing I ever want to do is be like the arbiter of taste and good and wrong. And so even though kind of in the decision-making process of a festival, that's kind of what you're doing at a high level. And we have an unbelievable, in my opinion, very fair, subjective way of looking at a piece of art and saying this one is in and this one's not in. And I have never said this one's good or bad out loud, nor would I. But I will say, like, there's some things, like, you have a good idea, and there's some tech things that you could have done. Let's talk about your sound, and then for the next 45 minutes, we're talking about your sound, both capturing it live and in post, because sound is 50% of your movie, right? It's visual and audio. So that's a huge part of what will make it, because sitting there watching it on a computer, watching it in a home theater, and hearing it, is one thing. Sitting in a theater with 300 people and all the speakers, if your sound is bad, you're gonna be there with your pants down in front of a whole group of people. So let's not have that, right? So it's not a hot take, but it's make your stuff better, right? And if you're already awesome, there's still room for growth, right? There's still there's still better. So
Quality over quantity.
There's never a peak. You can always keep climbing.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at, So again, I don't want to be the arbiter of good and bad, and that's why I don't really put myself out there as far as like being a Mark says it's good, so that makes it good, or vice versa. But I will say that I have a platform and I have an opinion. Seek other people's opinions also. So for the people that come to me, thank you. I will have a conversation with you. Let's sit down and talk. Let's watch your film, and we'll chat about it. But the first thing that I say will be, I'm not anybody. Like I'm just a dude, and you're just a dude and a dudette. And let's we can talk about this piece of art, and we could bring a couple other filmmakers in if we want, and have an open dialogue. And
one of the things I do as a filmmaker is when I have an edit done, it could be the rough draft or final draft or whatever, and before it gets released, I will send it to at least 2 filmmakers that are not part of the project to get their opinion on it as a filmmaker. But then I will send it to a couple other people that are just regular average audience members to get their opinion on it. That way I'm getting opinions on my film from both
different
sides.
Perspectives. Sure.
That way, because that's the thing about editing, you can get tunnel vision. You're too close to it and you don't realize, and then you're like, oh. So like how you said, like, your audio, I could be sitting here like with headphones on editing thinking it's crisp, clear. I got in a theater. I've been surprised before. And I'm like, that is not the audio that I edited. What happened? Because there's different channels, you got to learn, and I think,
So I'm hoping that artists are doing that, so I'm hoping that I'm not the only person that can speak into your project, right? So by the time it gets to you paid an entry fee and submit it to a film festival, I'm hoping that you have, mom and dad have seen it and your uncle and the 3 friends that you trust. I'm hoping that it's kind of gone through many levels and I'm hoping that you've done your due diligence and watched the YouTube videos on how to do post audio and things like that. So when people come to me at the end and I can look at their project and it's truly terrible, and I'm like, well, like, again, I'm happy anytime someone asks me that. Let's sit down. Like I will give anybody my time. Because at the end of the day, we just want everything to be better, right? And that's one of the things that I say selfishly. So when we do these classes or workshops or, when we have these conversations, when we do, podcasts where we're talking about this kind of thing, at the end of the day, super selfishly on my part, next year, I'm going to get 8 hours worth of Nebraska shorts again. And the better they are, like the better my life is because,
it's harder to make a decision
also,
on whether
the better
or sending rejections is like, that's the worst is like, sorry, your film didn't make it in. And like, I want it to be better. So next year, and there's filmmakers, sorry guys. Hopefully you don't know who you are or hopefully you do. But I've seen people that have submitted films for the last 10 years and they're not getting better. And like, how are we not improving? There's technology improvements and there's gear improvements and there's training improvements, and so the fact that's maybe controversial. I shouldn't probably say that, but I mean it makes me sad. Is ultimately what. And if you're like, I'm a backyard filmmaker and that's all I care about, do it like that. Awesome, and I'm gonna give you $45 every year for my entry fee, and awesome. But I don't know. I assume some of these other smaller festivals that are springing up. Are because looking at the people who start them and are people that like maybe didn't get into the Omaha Film Festival or other festivals and are like, well, we'll create our own, and like awesome, and I 100% support every one of them, and have your have that playground and have that sandbox.
Well, and at the end of the day, like I have to educate some people when they're talking about filmmaking and wanting to do it more professionally. It's not just fun playing with your friends. It can be, but it's still a business at the end of the day. So even the Omaha Film Festival is still a business to a certain point. So, you don't want to just offer the audience just anything that they can find on YouTube.
Right.
You want to offer them the best.
Just a level of quality.
Yeah, they're going to be paying a ticket. They
Yes.
want to see it.
Yes.
You know, because they're going into the same theater that's offering Hollywood films.
Yeah.
So
Barbie 3 is
why
gonna
am
be
I not going to that one? Why am I walking to yours?
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Even as a filmmaker,
Yeah.
I've been rejected plenty of times.
Probably by me.
But also, I also understand that if I don't think my movie's up to snuff, I'm not going to submit it somewhere and waste my money doing so.
And do that, right.
You know what I mean? I would rather put my money to my next project
Yeah.
and get better to put money.
Well, so I like hearing that. And I like hearing that from filmmakers is like my goal ultimately is to get better. And so when I get that email, like, why the rejection, or, you know, can you help? 100% because that means a person's interested in improving their, you know, whether or not I can help them. I think that I can. And boy, this year, the 48-hour, you were in the room, you know, we had 13 films or whatever it was. And I just kind of in our inner circles, I was talking, I'm like, I would love to just, every one of those filmmakers, I would love to give them 45 minutes. Like, let's schedule a Saturday, a Sunday, bring in your film. Like, I guarantee in 30 minutes, we can talk about some things and it will make your next one better. I guarantee. Even the professional ones and the high school ones shot on a cell phone. Like, I would love to be able to, you know, have more time to be able to. So yeah, I mean, so if you're a local filmmaker and you've gotten rejections and you want help, I mean, let me know. I'd love to. And again, I'm not the end all. I'm not the be all, of course, you know, but I'm happy to share. I mean, I've, you know, been a filmmaker for 25 years and I've run a film festival for 20 years, and I see an average of 1,000 new beyond studio stuff, 1,000 new independent, you know, films every year. And I have a garage full of equipment and, you know, one of the things I wanted to do. So Audio Technica makes a lavalier mic. It's wired. It's got a 25-foot cord. It's a lavalier, which is great. And it goes to your cell phone, which can be 25 feet away. Record your audio there. They're $25.
Oh, wow.
I almost bought 13 of them and gave them as door prizes to every filmmaker.
Nice.
And like, make your sound better. Because
there's an option.
Doggone it. Yes. Yeah. And I will keep saying, like, the microphones that are on the cameras, don't use those. Yeah. Like, have them for scratch audio, but
I was just telling Mark when he first got in here, I have the Neewer. It's the box lavalier. They're wireless. It's got one receiver, two transmitters, which are the mics. They have a built-in mic, but then you can also attach the lavalier to it. So that way you don't have to have the mic up here on your actor. It's good audio. Yeah. You know, it will record internally if you don't hook it up to a cell phone or an iPad or anything like that. It's awesome. Yeah. But then the other cool thing is, once on another film set, it wasn't mine, we took one of those lavalier mics and hooked it up to the boom mic.
Yeah.
Right.
He was the boom guy. He didn't have to carry the entire recording box with him in a very crammed area.
Because I was like laying underneath like a bench at a restaurant.
Yeah.
We were outside, so it was just
a little lightweight thing on the window.
Yeah. So technology has helped, and that little box that has the lavaliers is under $200.
Right. Yeah, there's
a lot of options out there as long as you know what you're doing, and a lot of them, you know, like, you can nerd out about the 32-bit float and things like that. The way your peaking isn't crazy and things like that. So there's a lot of things out there that are so much better now. Yeah. With that said,
so not a hot take, but making films better. Not a hot take, but
it's lukewarm.
It's a lukewarm.
Seek support for better results.
Okay. Yeah. Boy, look at that. Yeah. Boy, you said that in 4 seconds what I said in about a half hour.
Hey, it works.
That's the tagline for the new
exactly.
workshop.
All right.
There you go.
Excellent.
Seek support for better results.
So is there anything, I would just want to thank you for being here.
No, love it.
One.
Thanks, guys.
Is there anything that you'd like to, pitch and tell anybody about? Obviously, Off is coming in.
Yeah. March 11th through the 16th, 2025, the Omaha Film Festival, our 20th year, which I think is pretty cool. When you're looking at film festivals, if you're serious about kind of that world and that space, I think one of the things you want to look at is whatever kind of credits or accolades that are attached to a particular organization, which we have a handful of those. So that's kind of nice. But if you're a casual film fan, I always say there's something for everybody. Oh, yeah. You can give us $100 and come and watch every movie that we have and like participate in Q&As and go to parties. We recommend that. But if you just want to, look at the slate. It'll be out in early February. I guarantee there'll be a documentary that you'll want to see, or a feature film, or a lot of times, like the barrier to like, how do I don't even know what's a film festival? Come to a short film block. And you can literally sit there for an hour and a half and watch, 10 films.
Right.
And they're not all going to be for you. I guarantee they're all going to be great. And it's just a real good kind of an easy way to be exposed to a lot of different kinds of things. And then, we show an average of 100 films a year, a bunch of features, a bunch of documentaries, a bunch of short films. We have a script competition, so we'll put screenplays on stage, so you can go and listen to actors kind of performing bits of those scripts. So like I said, there'll be something for everybody. There's, of the 100 films, probably 60 to 70 of them will have a filmmaker in attendance. We have filmmakers that fly in from around the world, which continues to blow me away. But it's awesome. And they'll be here. Then they're in town, and they're, it's not Brad Pitt, it's not,
Right.
It's not Robert De Niro, but it's a filmmaker who put as much effort into their film as those guys did. Right. And now they're here to support it. So if it was Brad Pitt, like that would be amazing. But you wouldn't really probably have an opportunity to get close to him, take a selfie, have a conversation with him, right? But these filmmakers, they come in and they want to support their film. They want to support the festival. They want to support the art of filmmaking.
Correct.
So you can 100% walk up to them and have a conversation with them. Listen to the Q&A, participate in the Q&A, ask some questions there, see them at the after party, see them in the hallway. Like, I loved your film. It meant a lot to me. And who knows? Maybe you'll be on set with them next year, or
they might be the next Brad Pitt.
It could be the next Brad Pitt. You never know. And then the Q, like the short, the Nebraska shorts. We usually do 3 or 4 blocks of Nebraska shorts. The number of projects, and I joke, like the festival should have like a 2% commission on anything that comes from when you met somebody there. But that's a great place to meet people also, is like if you're an actress, we get that all the time. It's like, hey, I'm an actor. I want to be in movies, but I don't know anybody. Hey, a great room to be in? There's going to be 300 people between March 11th and the 16th in a room. All of them are local filmmakers. They're all looking for an actress or a sound guy or an editor, or, that's a great room to meet those people. And people are like, what's your number one piece of advice on being in this world? And my number one piece of advice is always be cool, right? Just walk up to someone, just be cool. Like, don't be weird, don't be whatever. Just and just be someone that someone wants to have a conversation with, and ask them questions and participate in their whatever, and look them in the eye and shake their hand or fist bump. I don't shake people's hands, but
it's a much more entertaining version of one of our filmmaker hangouts.
There you go. That's fair.
You know what I mean?
I didn't want to say it, but that's fair.
Plus, you get to watch a bunch of movies.
And there's a bunch of movies there, yeah. So we love the $100 all access pass. We love I don't know what the price is yet, our $70 all films pass. If you just want to come watch movies, you don't want to do the post stuff. Or like if you just want to see a feature film or a documentary, it's $10. See a short film block, $10. So it's pretty easy to get to. It's right there at Exarban Cinema, right in the middle of town. There's a parking garage, so if we have 35 feet of snow on the ground, you can like park in the garage and walk over. And
it's Nebraska. It's March.
Yeah,
we don't know.
It could be 100 degrees out. There could be 17 feet of snow. We just don't know, and we don't talk about weather ever because we don't want to jinx ourselves. And but yeah, it will be great regardless. And it's always the temperature inside is always fantastic. So and they have popcorn, which is great. So there you go.
All right. Well, thanks again, Mark, for being
fellas.
here.
Appreciate it.
That has been the Filmmakers Hangout podcast, guys.
Thanks.
See you next time.
Adioses.